Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third in this series of workshops being led by Kell Julliard, based on Dr. Judd Brewer's research and how we can effectively change behaviors and then how we can effectively sustain those behavioral changes we've made, especially as Dr. Brewer describes it in his new book, The Hunger Habit. I'm John Roberts, Operations Manager for Mindfulness-Based Learning at Point 32 Health and its family of companies, including Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. Now, we'd love to make this session this evening as interactive as possible, and so please do locate the chat function when you have a moment. That chat function is going to be one of the primary ways that we'll be inviting you to engage with us and with each other during tonight's session. Now, I'm joining you from beautiful Shutesbury, Massachusetts tonight, and as a way of practicing using the chat, we'd love to ask folks to drop into the chat where they are joining us from this evening. In the meantime, and before I turn things over to Kell, if folks missed either session 1 or session 2 and would like to catch up after tonight's session, the recording of those earlier sessions can be found in a playlist, which I will link to in the chat in just a moment. If you are watching this right now as a recording, then those earlier sessions will be located in the same playlist that the recording you're watching now is also located in. And by the way, that same playlist will also be hosting a recording of a really excellent workshop that Dr. Judd Brewer himself produced for us. But that being said, so that you keep in mind that viewing Judd's workshop is in no way considered mandatory for getting all the benefits out of these sessions with Kell. Now, as a reminder, the main page for everything related to Judd's workshop, Kell's sessions, and related content can be found at our Hunger Habit Hub, the link to which I will be dropping in the chat. And if you're watching this as a recording, that link will be available in the notes right below this video. If you'd like to encourage others in your personal and professional networks to take advantage of everything related to the Hunger Habit, then the Hunger Habit Hub will be a great place to send them to. Now, I would be remiss if I did not mention that aside from mindfulness programming just like this series, Point 32 Health is very proud to produce an incredible array of virtual wellness classes and webinars. Those include Zumba classes, yoga classes, rotating series of webinars on topics such as reducing stress, developing better financial health, starting an exercise routine, and simply living more sustainably in your life. All of these are free resources available to anyone, and they can be found at point32health.org/livingwellatHome. That link will also be appearing in the chat shortly or is available in the notes beneath this recording. One more thing to keep in mind, all of these links I've been mentioning here, or which Kell will be mentioning in tonight's session, as well as any handouts or slide decks referred to this evening, will be emailed to you within a few days. Or if you are watching this as a recording, the information about how to get those things will be in the notes below this video. Kell Julliard has taught mindfulness skills to healthcare professionals and the public in a variety of settings, including for Point 32 Health and at renowned establishments such as the Garrison Institute, the Kripalu Center, and the Omega Institute. Kell is certified by the International Mindfulness Teachers Association. He has a clinical background as a psychotherapist in the chemical dependency field. Kell recently served as a director of clinical research for the Family Health Centers at NYU Langone, during which time he published several peer-reviewed papers on the impacts of mindfulness trainings on healthcare professionals. Always wonderful to welcome you, Kell Julliard.
Thank you so much, John, and it's great to be with all of you tonight as we move into our third session about the hunger habit and habits in general that we would like to shift out of into healthier habits. So these sessions are intended as coaching sessions. We've got applications, actions to take, things to do in between these video sessions. And it's about why we eat when we're not hungry and how to stop doing that. Now, as I've mentioned in the previous sessions, if you have an eating disorder such as anorexia or bulimia nervosa, it's wise to work with your doctor or mental health clinician to support you. This approach may not be beneficial for those of you that are dealing with that. Okay, so just to get a sense of where we are tonight, those of you who were here in the last session, John's going to launch a poll just so you can let us know how many of the different techniques from the last session have you tried. So you can click more than one. So however many of these you've tried, just click that. The question is really intended to bring awareness and curiosity to your process. It's not intended as a judgment in any way, whether you've done or not done these, but just so you can check in with yourself and see where you are with these at the beginning of this session. And maybe that will shift. So before we share the results of the poll, I'm going to share my screen again, and we're just going to talk about where we are in the sequence of these sessions. So we've done habit loops and curiosity in our first session. We've worked with something called the hunger test and tuning into the wisdom of our bodies and of our emotions using the RAIN practice in session 2. Tonight, we're really going to more deeply into cravings themselves and using something called the Craving Tool to dismantle helpful habits. And one of the practices we're going to use to help us with that is called the body scan. And next week, in our concluding session, we're going to be talking about how to put all this together to really build the magic in your life, the positive sense of your life. So, John, how about sharing the results of the poll?
Yes, indeed, Kell. So we have about half the folks with us tonight tried the hunger test and the Pleasure Plateau tool. And then 87% tried some sort of mindful eating. And then about a quarter of the folks used the RAIN practice.
Okay, great. Great to hear. So again, this is all about curiosity about your process and where you are with what we're covering. And really what will serve you, what your inner wisdom says will serve you in this letting go, letting unhealthy habits fall away and cultivating habits that you really want in your life. So each week we do an arriving practice. And as with last week, I'm going to lead us in the RAIN practice. And hopefully we'll deepen that a little bit as we go through this. So as we discussed last week, RAIN is a way of working with our life of emotions, moods, and feelings. So take a moment just to let go of what you've been doing before this session to really come into this moment. If closing your eyes helps you do that, close your eyes, tune into your body. You might even stretch a little bit or take a breath. Whatever helps you let go of doing and come into just being. And as you settle into this present moment, really being with yourself, see if you can recognize whether there's a mood or emotion that's present. You could simply be feeling calm, or perhaps there's an emotion that you're carrying with you from something that happened later today, or anticipating something in the future, or maybe there's a little excitement about what we're going to cover tonight, or you've got a question that has some feelings connected with it. But this is about just recognizing what's present right now in your life of emotions and moods. And we accept what's there in this practice. We can't make emotions or moods magically go away. So just recognizing and accepting it's present. Accept is the A of RAIN. And then bringing our curiosity to this emotion or mood. How do you know this is what you're feeling? For many of us, it's body sensations. Tuning into our stomachs, our breathing, our heart rate, the way our face feels, just noticing whatever is alive for you that tells you what it is you're experiencing in the emotional realm in this moment. and bringing curiosity to that, investigating how you know in this moment what you're feeling. And we can sharpen that awareness with a note, a phrase or word that sort of encapsulates what it is you've discovered. It could be breathing relaxed, or shoulders tense, or face at ease. Whatever you notice, just a brief note to sharpen your awareness of what you've discovered. And as you bring awareness to this feeling or mood, see if you can hold yourself with kindness. Whether the mood is comfortable, uncomfortable, or neutral, just know we're human beings doing the best we can in this moment. And offer yourself some kindness and caring as you tune into what you're feeling right now. And in this space of kindness and caring, extending that into wisdom, noticing that whatever the mood or emotion is, your awareness is bigger than that mood or emotion. You have a choice to feel your feet. You're listening to my voice and understanding my words. All of these are different than the mood or emotion. Awareness expands to fill whatever the contents of it are. So just notice that you are not that mood or emotion. It's in your awareness, but you are bigger than the mood or emotion. Perhaps you can even be aware that awareness itself has an inherent peaceful quality to it. That awareness that's bigger than the emotion. It's like the space that holds whatever we're aware of. And that space is peaceful. Okay, that concludes our awareness practice, our arriving practice. So if your eyes are closed, let them gently open. And just to revisit for a second where we've come from, we've been working with concepts and practices that tune in to the cycle of our day. First of all, awareness and kindness permeate our day. Awareness and kindness are the foundation of everything we're doing in these 4 sessions and in this hunger habit approach. And out of awareness and kindness come curiosity, getting curious about our habit loops, about whether they serve us, whether they don't, and bringing that curiosity through our day as we investigate the habits that carry us through the day. One of these habits we've talked about is the urge to snack, that when we experience that urge, we bring the hunger test to see, are we hungry, or is there an emotion that's driving that urge to snack? And the RAIN practice and the body scan being something we're going to work with later tonight, they can come to our aid in this hunger test, telling us what is it we're feeling. And then we can tune into using the hunger test to help us determine, Do we want to snack because we're hungry? Or really, can we let go of snacking and bring our awareness to what we're feeling and take care of that emotion or feeling in some different way than eating? Then, when we eat a meal, mapping our pleasure plateau, really looking how the liking to eat and the wanting to eat shift with each bite that we take as we eat our meal. So this cycle of new skills and habit loops can come to our aid during the day as we bring awareness and kindness to our day. And we'll talk about an overview of this session, session 3, where we're really going deeper into habit loops. Now, we've already done the RAIN practice, awareness of our emotions and moods. So first, we're going to work with befriending our body with the body scan. Really, one of the ways in terms of the hunger habit this serves us is the body scan can serve as a foundation for relearning the cues that tell us we're actually physically hungry, as opposed to wanting to eat to deal with some emotion or life situation. Then we're going to move on to changing reward values through awareness. We're going to talk about the magic of one of our brain structures called the orbital frontal cortex, or OFC, and how shifting these reward values can enable habits that don't serve us to just fall away. It doesn't take willpower. When we change the reward values, we spontaneously don't want to do them anymore. And one of the tools that helps us do this is called the Craving Tool. So we'll be working with that tonight. And then I'll be giving you some action steps to work with to take us through the week before the next session. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. And I'm seeing a question in the chat because we just did the RAIN practice. I'm seeing a question about any tips for getting in touch with feelings during the RAIN exercise and identifying where they are in the body. So one of the suggestions that I have for that is when you've got a vivid experience, a vivid emotion that arises during the day. Let's say you see an old friend and you're just feeling joyful, or something happens at work that you're angry about, or that you feel really anxious about. If you can get in the habit, in those moments where the emotion is fairly intense, of just for a few seconds asking yourself that question, what am I feeling in my body that tells me I'm experiencing that particular emotion? This can be really helpful when we're working with emotions that are vivid, as opposed to like right now, where you may be very calm and there might not be much sensation that is arising to tell you what you're feeling. But one of the things about that is if your breathing is regular, no butterflies in your stomach, your shoulders are relaxed, your face is at ease, you can pretty much know you're feeling calm, that that's your mood in this moment. I do want to say not everybody finds it easy to tune into emotions in the body. So if you don't relate to the sensation of emotions or moods in your body, there's nothing wrong with you. This is just a variation in among human beings. So you may want to look at movement impulses in the body. Do you want to move toward the situation or away from it? Or the pace of your thoughts, the intensity of your thoughts. And those might be better clues for you in terms of what you're feeling. I'm going to come back to our session outline for tonight, and we're going to move into the body scan. And I'm going to go back and share my screen. Okay, so for those of you that have never done this or heard of it, what is the body scan? It's bringing awareness to the body sequentially, part by part, sort of like a computer scanner where the light goes from the top of a page to the bottom of a page. So going at whatever pace is right for you, whatever level of detail with your body is right for you. But it's a helpful way to really befriend the body, get more in touch with the body, really be with our body. I want to make a really important point before moving into the benefits of the body scan, which is that we're not imagining the parts of the body. We're actually feeling the sensations that are present in that part. Now, there may not be any sensations in a particular part, and just noticing, oh, I don't feel any sensations at the top of my head right now. So that's perfectly okay. I'll be guiding us through this, so hopefully this will make a lot of sense as we do it. Some of the benefits, it has many benefits actually, but we'll only talk about two before we do the body scan. So regular body scans can help the hunger test be easier in helping you understand and reconnecting you to the actual sensations of hunger. So the more you're able to really drop into the sensations of the body, the better you're going to be able to use that hunger test. The body scan is also great to do before you fall asleep. It helps you get out of your head, away from thinking as you move into sleep. And when you do it for this purpose, you do the body scan from the top of the head down to the feet and then stop. You don't do it back up. Okay, so let's take a moment to do the body scan together. I'll guide us through this practice. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, it can be a good thing to do when we do this particular exercise. I'm going to invite you to bring awareness to the top of your head and just notice, are you perceiving any sensations at the top of your head? Maybe there's a little bit of tingling. Maybe there's nothing at all. Just notice, is there a sensation there or not? We're not creating a sensation. We're not analyzing the sensations. Just notice what the top of your head feels like. And now move down to your forehead. Again, noticing whatever sensations, if any, are present in your forehead. Now to your eyes. If no sensations are present, you can blink your eyes a couple of times or squeeze them tight and let them go. And just notice the sensations that you've created. Now bringing your awareness to your nose and ears. With your nose, perhaps you can feel the breath going in and out. Now to your mouth, noticing the way your tongue feels in your mouth, any sensations in your lips. Now to your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. If you don't notice sensations in your shoulders, you might raise them and let them go. See if you notice sensations as you do that. Now to the top of your arms, your upper arms, your elbows, your lower arms, your hands, noticing the texture of whatever your hands are resting on, whether your hands are warm or cool, whether there's tingling present. Now moving back to our chest, feeling the movements of the breath in the chest and upper back. down to the belly and lower back. Again, noticing the feeling of their moving with the breath. Noticing the actual sensations you're experiencing as the belly and lower back move with the breath. Now to your hips, feeling your weight against the chair and your thighs, your knees, noticing sensations in your knees, your calves and lower legs, your ankles, and finally noticing the sensations in your feet. Are they warm or cool? Noticing their weight against the floor, the sensations of your shoes or socks. And now just letting go of the body scan, just noticing that you're alive and aware in this moment. And letting your eyes gently open if they're closed, and coming back to our shared space here. Now, when you do the body scan on your own, you can go back up from the feet to the top of the head. It's a great way of really bringing awareness to all parts of the body. But just take a moment to tune into how you feel right now. Are you more relaxed than when you started? Less relaxed? The same? And you might key that into the chat if you feel like doing so. How did that body scan down make you feel? How did that result for you? And when you do this on your own at home, and you move from the bottom of your feet back up to the top of your head, see if you feel different when you get to the top of your head. If for you, that's different. So I'm seeing it looks like some people are feeling more relaxed. Great to hear, but there's no right or wrong answer here. I know I felt a lot more relaxed as I was doing the body scan right now. So I'm going to share my screen again, but I'm seeing that there's a comment made me feel like stress left my body. Sounds like a good thing as well. So you can try the body scan and RAIN to figure out whether you want to eat because of stress and emotions or because you're hungry. You can use this as a tool for curiosity. So I'm going to ask you again to do a poll that John is going to launch. Are you willing to try the body scan at least once sometime between now and the next session? No right or wrong answer. Again, this is just a way of bringing curiosity to your process, your inner wisdom about what's right for you, about what appeals to you in terms of helping shift out of habits that don't serve you anymore. Okay, John.
Kell, we have 94% saying yes, and we have 6% saying maybe. So far,
okay.
No no's.
All right, that's great. Okay, we're really going to move into the core of our session now and talk about changing reward values through awareness. Now, first of all, what is a reward value? These are what psychologists call the rankings that all of us give to things we do, from very positive through neutral to very negative. So we're always assigning reward values, things we like, things we don't like. We're putting them in an order. We like broccoli better than cucumbers. So we tend to eat more broccoli than we eat cucumbers, whatever your reward value is. Now, the part of your brain that stores these reward values is the red area that you're seeing on this slide that says stimulus value. That red area is called the orbital frontal cortex. The right side of the brain, of this brain that you're seeing, is your forehead. The left side of it is the back of your head. So that red area is right above your eyeballs. So orbito relates to the orbit of the eye, the sphere of the eye, and it's at the front of your brain, which is why it's called the orbital frontal cortex, cortex meaning the surface of your brain. So that's the brain area that we're going to be talking about. Now, what does this OFC, orbital frontal cortex, do? Well, it integrates sensory information, our emotions, our actions, our habits, our behaviors, and it combines all of these. It combines behaviors, feelings, and the context in which these occur into chunks. And these chunks get ranked in terms of how well we like them. So the OFC makes comparisons between behaviors to determine how rewarding any behavior or habit is. So if A is more rewarding than B, you're going to pick A. This is not a matter of willpower. It is a matter of the OFC and your reward hierarchy. So to shift a habit, to let go of a habit that no longer serves you, you only have to shift its position in the reward hierarchy. If it drops low in the reward hierarchy, you're not going to do it anymore. It doesn't take willpower. The habit will just fall away. So this is incredibly important. All right, so let's move into the concept that underlies this strategy of shifting how habits can move in the reward hierarchy. There were two researchers, Rescorla and Wagner, that actually came up with a mathematical equation to describe this. I'm not going to bore you with the equation. The take-home message is the only way to change a behavior is to change where it stands in the reward hierarchy. So they created a model related to behaviors that we learn through positive or negative reinforcement. Now, positive reinforcement is when we do something and we get a result we like. Negative reinforcement is when we do something and something we don't like goes away. So the Rescorla-Wagner model works with both of these. Now, the OFC, that part of our brain, catalogs where the behavior stands in the reward hierarchy. And any new input can meet, exceed, or fail to meet our expectations. And that activates our dopamine reward neurotransmitter in the reward centers of our brain. So we should do it or we shouldn't do it is not a part of this. Understanding the habit's history is not a part of this. Willpower is not a part of this. It's just, do we like this habit or don't we? So something can be better or worse than we expect it to be. And this can happen on purpose through awareness, which is why in these 4 sessions, we're emphasizing the power of awareness. Because if you bring awareness to the results of the habit and you realize you don't like those results, the habit will shift in the reward hierarchy. If you're doing a healthy habit and you love the results, that healthy habit is going to rise in the hierarchy. And if one of your habits that doesn't serve you anymore, you bring awareness to it, you're going to realize the results are not so great. The habit will drop spontaneously in the reward hierarchy. So the OFC and awareness high-five one another to shift how habits rise or fall in the reward hierarchy. So awareness is our superpower. It changes our brain. I'm seeing a question in the chat that I'd like to address. So how is awareness different? How is understanding the habit's history different from awareness? So certainly the insight is absolutely correct that when we understand a habit's history, that happens within awareness. Okay, so absolutely that is part of awareness. What we're talking about here is the experience of the results of the habit. So experiencing doing the habit, and then, okay, there's a little bit of a short-term gain. The emotion that I didn't like went away. So, yep, that's positive. But oh, wow, 5 minutes later, I'm feeling really bad because I've eaten a lot of stuff that I wasn't hungry. I ate all this stuff. My stomach hurts. I now feel really sleepy. I have to work. I'm not ready to go home yet. It's awareness of the results of the habit is what we're really talking about here. So that's the awareness that shifts it in the habit loop. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to move into this tool, Craving Tool. Part one, you use the Craving Tool before and during eating. So you pay attention before you eat. Why do you want to eat? Stress, emotion, hunger, convenience. You pay attention to what you're about to eat. And then as you eat each bite, you use the Pleasure Plateau to sense wanting and liking until you finish eating. Then with the Craving Tool, you ask, how much did I eat? From way too much to none. How do I feel physically, emotionally? What type of thoughts are arising? How content do I feel? 5 minutes after eating, 15 minutes after eating, and boiling all this down, the simplified version of the Craving Tool Part 1 is, what am I getting from this experience of eating? Now, the Craving Tool Part 2 is when you have a craving like wanting a snack, noticing the craving, and then using the power of your imagination. Vividly imagining eating what you're craving, imagining the result, the feeling in your stomach, what it feels like when you eat too much or go past full, what it feels like when you eat the quantity you're planning on eating, the effect of this eating on your mood, energy level, your emotions. All of this is in your imagination. And then once you've completed this, asking yourself the question, how strong is my urge to eat whatever it was I wanted to eat right now, as compared to before I went through this imagination exercise? Now, if you still want to eat, then do so. But then use the Craving Tool Part 1 to continue to gather data. Was this impulse to eat really healthy? Were the results great? Or do I not feel so good? So you're focusing on your embodied experience of the result of the habit. And you'll find it empowering not to be a slave to cravings, using the tool as you eat and using the tool before you eat, invoking the power of the imagination. Okay, so here's how these pieces fit together. If we look at the bottom of the pyramid, we've got the hunger test and mapping your pleasure plateau. They're gathering data to support investigating the habit loops and using the RAIN and body scan to tell what we're feeling. Are we hungry? What's our body telling us? And putting this whole bottom level of the pyramid together in the Craving Tool to really bring awareness to the whole loop of the habit, which will then enable it to shift in the reward hierarchy. Each time you use the Craving Tool, you help your brain determine a new reward value. And each time, this moves you toward a tipping point where the behavior shifts. And the good news is the reward value often changes on average after the craving tool has been used for 10 times. So if you keep using that craving tool at least 10 times, there's a likelihood that you're going to experience a shift in the habit. The behavior will move up or down in the reward hierarchy. The real pleasure plateau becomes easier to find. And the great news about this is nothing's more valuable in doing this than your own experience. You don't have to rely on anybody outside yourself, on any shoulds or oughts. Your experience will tell you what's working for you and what's not. So our advice is get curious about how long it takes for your experience to win out over your habit loop. That 10 times using the craving tool is a rule of thumb based on data from a bunch of people, but that may not be what works for you. It may take fewer times, it may take more, but bring curiosity to this to support kindness around your own practice. Okay, so here's the action steps for this week. Use the craving tool parts 1 and 2. Try the rain and body scan if your inner wisdom says these will be useful. And again, I'm always plugging this. Watch Dr. Judd's talk, read The Hunger Habit. And John is going to put links to the body scan, 3 different versions of the body scan in the chat. So there's one that Dr. Judd has created, which is rather detailed. There's one that I've done, which is quite simple. And then there's another general awareness of the body that gives you another way of working with awareness and the body that's less structured than the body scan that you might like. So you've got 3 different guided meditations this week that can help you find a way into the practice of the body scan. All right, John, any questions in the chat or suggestions?
Kell, what I'd love to point to, if I may. So after you did the body scan, you asked how folks react to it, and the first wave of responses was, feel more relaxed, but then there was another wave of responses which I think is really worth looking at. Somebody said that they noticed that they had a bit of a headache. They were aware that they were not relaxed, and they were aware how they had been feeling a little bit antsy. I just thought this was a point that you might want to reinforce. The body scan is not necessarily in all circumstances about becoming more relaxed, but in fact just about realizing what is happening, even if it's not relaxing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes, a headache, that headache was most likely there when I've noticed things like that. It was there before. I just wasn't aware of that. Being antsy. Oh, wow, I'm antsy now. Now I'm aware of it so I can make choices about what I do about that. Is there something that my inner wisdom is guiding me to do to help care for myself in that antsy feeling? Maybe call somebody, get support. Maybe take care of a project that's bugging me that I'm worried about and get it off my desk. There's a million different things that our inner wisdom might suggest. Anything else, John?
Well, Kell, could I be so bold as to ask you some questions about the body scan that occurred to me as you were doing it?
Absolutely, of course.
Because this is kind of there's a bit of an esoteric nature to the practice, as folks are pointing out, where it can be a little bit difficult to sort of identify, how feelings are arriving in the body. So you said at one point that we were not trying to create any sensations, but then you also suggest that we could sort of scrunch our eyes in order to feel them more. I'm just wondering if you can sort of speak to that distinction.
So ideally, you're picking up on sensations when you sensations that are actually there. But some of us, there are parts of our body that just don't have much sensation. And there's nothing wrong with tensing and letting go to bring sensation to that part if your inner wisdom says that would be a good thing. If that would help you come more into your body, help you just be more embodied in this moment. And your body is a great way of coming into the present moment. So just getting to know your body, being more in touch with it, is actually incredibly grounding, centering, helpful. It's an extraordinarily good way of learning how to take care of ourselves by just tuning in to what we're feeling in our bodies. So if it helps you to create sensation, do it.
And Kell, I know because we're asking folks to do the body scan, because another question that occurred to me, if I may, when you were saying, what is happening at the top of your head, I happened to notice at that moment that I wasn't feeling anything in my head really, but I was feeling something in my foot. Is it okay to sort of jump around when you're doing this, or do you really need to sort of stay focused on where you're being guided?
So the third meditation you put in the chat, you have the choice of just bringing your awareness to any sensation in the body that you'd like to bring awareness to. With the body scan, it's best to move sequentially. And there are different ways of doing that. So I guided us through the shoulders, down the arms, and then came back to the chest. But if you look at body scans, let's say on YouTube, there's a million of them. You'll find many, many different variations on this. The important thing is that you find a way that you like and that you go at a pace that feels neither too fast nor too slow for you, that you don't try to fit yourself into someone else's way of doing this.
Thank you, Kell. And I'm seeing a question. Could you describe what you mean by inner wisdom? Is that the same as intuition?
Basically, yes. Basically, your inner wisdom is that part of you that takes perspective on the whole of your being in this moment and helps you make choices as to what will serve you best. So for instance, your inner wisdom brought you to this course. You figured, oh, gee, maybe there's something here that will really help me in my life. When you're at work or cooking a meal, it's like, oh, do I chop the carrots first, or do I start the water boiling first? Wisdom is actually infusing our lives, but we don't recognize it as such. We think of wisdom as being something very lofty that many of us never get in touch with. But there's this inner wisdom that's guiding us through all the choices we make in every moment of our day. So I'm talking about this faculty we have to make wise choices and care for ourselves every moment, whether it's a very small, humble choice or a major life decision.
Well, Kell, we're at about 7:19, so I may suggest we leave it here, but is there anything that you would like to add yourself as folks go into the next week before session 4, our concluding session?
Just that in the next session, we're going to be going more deeply into cultivating kindness. And also, we'll talk some about how to care for our life of emotions. Because as we shift our habits, let's say we decide, oh, I'm not hungry, I'm eating because of some emotion that's come up. Well, how do we really care for ourselves when we're recognizing that there's an emotion there? And in our we've been caring for ourselves through eating, which doesn't always do us a lot of good. So what are some other ways that we can genuinely care for ourselves as emotions arise and pass away?
Wonderful. Kell, thank you, as always, for your guidance tonight. Thank you, everyone, for attending. It's wonderful to see folks here and just to have this engagement that we've been having. It's been a really wonderful group. And I am both looking forward to and a little bit sad to know that next week's session will be the last in this series. But I know it will be as wonderful as the previous 3 have been. Kell, thank you again. And we will see folks back here next week.